All right, welcome to the Browns Wire podcast. This is your host, Josh Keatley. With me, as always, Donovan James. And today we have another very special guest, Cleveland Browns fullback, Johnny Stanton. Johnny, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, we're excited to have you, dude. You're coming off such a big year for you. I know that COVID kind of sucked the wind out of most people's sails, but I consider last year a big accomplishment for you and the Browns as a whole. Not only is the excitement at an all-time high and the Browns played extremely well, but you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you played in your first NFL game, right?
I did, yeah, against Philadelphia.
Yeah. That's a big deal, dude. I mean, I have so many questions about what was it like to strap it up and know, hey, it's different. It's different today. I'm playing. It's happening. What was that like?
Yeah, when you're a practice squad guy, especially in like the last couple of years, and specifically for me because I've been up and down this roller coaster so many times. I hadn't played in an actual real speed game since preseason of 2018 when I broke my ankle. So it's been a while since I've had a full speed game, and it felt great to be out there. It was very obvious during the game and also watching film that I was a little bit, overexcited and a little bit out over my toes on a lot of things. And, I had to reel back a little bit, and I just gained so much experience from that game that I'm excited to be able to get out there again and actually go up against some other guys, wearing some other colors.
Dude, that's so awesome. We get a lot of guys on here, and I have some friends that played in the league, but they never touched the field. They never were active. So it makes me giddy just to hear you talk about it. How did you deal with the nerves? Are you just not a nervous guy, or did you just kind of scope? How was that for you? No,
I mean, I don't think that people closest to me would call me a nervous guy, but I know that I am. I like everybody, I deal with a little bit of anxiety and that kind of stuff. So that day, my nerves were definitely at a high point for recent memory. I got up early, left the team hotel to go in for a little while. My girlfriend and family came in for the game, so I was hanging out with my girlfriend that morning for 3 hours until I had to go to the facility because I couldn't go to the stadium until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. I forget exactly what it was. So there were just several hours where I'm just sitting there, try to take my mind off it and read something or try to, play music or whatever. But I'm just kind of sitting there just waiting for okay, it's just 30 minutes until I have to leave, an hour, 25 minutes until I have to leave. Keep on looking at the clock, that kind of thing. And then I get to the facility and, I'm in the big locker room, and we're actually split up between two different locker rooms. But because I was starting that game, I got to be in the with the main guys, and everybody has two different lockers to make sure we're all spread out. And I'm in between Nick on one side, Nick Chubb, and then Hoop on the other side, and across from the linemen. So Joel Bitonio's on that side, Jack Conklin's on that side, and they're it's just another game for them. They're all chilling, and I remember I could tell that I must have been giving off some kind of nervous energy because when maybe 10, 15 minutes into just hanging out and kind of getting all my stuff situated, Joel calls across the locker room, Johnny, are you nervous? I'm it's my first game. So yeah, I'm a little nervous. Oh, I'd be nervous too.
That's what he said. And he didn't follow it up with anything. What a dick.
It was great. All the guys started laughing. It did give me a little bit of release from that. So.
That's hilarious. This is not the same level at all. When I tell you this story, I completely am at the understanding that you're talking about an NFL game. But when I got my first start in college, the coach announced it on Thursday, game Saturday, and I was so nervous, I was throwing up. And my buddy who was the quarterback was like, Josh, just come over and sit down. We're in the hotel room before the game. And he's like, let's just watch some 16 and Pregnant, the show on MTV. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? And he's like, dude, just remember, no matter how bad you play today, your life will never be as bad as that pregnant teenager's. Oh,
Jesus.
I was like, you know what? That's oddly comforting.
A lot of these ladies have come on and had great careers since.
True. Yeah, you're right. Touché. But I didn't mean to bombard you with questions right off the bat. I was just excited to hear about it because it's something, everybody dreams about it. So few people get to experience it. So I wanted to kind of bother you about that. But you're on for a very special reason. You have a very special thing, a very special activity coming up, giveaway coming up. I want you to talk about it. I want you to kind of get. This is your platform. Tell us what you got going on.
Yeah, so I'm an ambassador for Athlete Ally, which does some great work for LGBTQ community in sports, especially for the youth and who are trying to keep them in sports. LGBTQ youth drop out of sports at a much higher rate than their heterosexual counterparts, and they do some really awesome work. And with it being Pride Month, I wanted to make sure that I joined the fundraiser and showed my support in being an ally. And I pledged to match donations for Athlete Ally's fundraiser, which they're splitting with the Black Women's Player Collective. They're splitting all donations. I think their goal is $25,000. I think they're a little bit past halfway, but they still have a week or so left in the month. So I'm excited for them to be able to reach that goal. But my goal was to match donations up to $1,000. And anybody who donates, every $10 they donate enters them into a raffle to have the chance of winning a couple signed, memorabilia, not memorabilia, but, team gear, merchandise and stuff like that. So I got some, I have them right here, actually. I got some Browns hats. You can see I signed. There's a pair of gloves that I haven't quite signed yet. I don't know where they went. But then the grand prize that whoever enters the raffle can win is the team signed ball. Let me get this centered. You can see a whole bunch of guys there. So that's a big grand prize that if you don't have a chance of winning. I'm a little bit less than $100 away from my goal of $1,000.
Wow.
But I'm excited for hopefully surpass that goal and get pressured into matching again. If I can, the more donations, the better. It's awesome. Any kind of help and sharing is hugely appreciated, and I just want to be able to put in my little contribution to the overall Pride Month celebration.
Yeah,
that's great, man.
Tag us in that too. What Athlete Allies? Is that what it is?
Athlete Ally is the
fundraiser
group. You can find that link to. I'll make sure to send you guys the link.
Yeah.
But find the link to my fundraiser specifically in my social media pages on my link, my bio, and specifically if you donate, make sure that you send a screenshot to me if you're done with your donations, and I can match it up with donations that I see on my email. And you'll get entered into the raffle. So
okay, dope. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So at the end of the month, the raffle ends. So hoping to be able to get a whole bunch of people in before that.
And where can they follow you on your social medias?
Thanks. I'll actually change my display name to do that too if I can.
Perfect.
I'll join you guys with that. I am at Johnny Stanton IV, JOHNNY STANTONIV on Twitter, on Instagram. IV's for the 4th. You can see on the back of my jersey if you end up getting that. But yeah, let me see if I can. You keep talking. I'm going to see if I can change.
You're good.
For those.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say for those that are listening to it on the MP3, we are going to put his. If you're downloading this from USA Today or Spotify, we're going to put his Twitter feed or his Twitter handle on the description. And the ball that was signed was a white panel autographed football with the Cleveland Browns. I know that a lot of you guys listen to it and can't see that stuff. So, Donovan, what were you going to say?
No, man, I was just going to say, as far as Johnny goes, dude, I just want to ask him. There's a bunch of stuff, but really.
Here's the gloves. They have white signed.
Okay, there are the gloves. There we go.
Very cool. Very cool.
Showing the gloves out, and he's got the Johnny Stanton IV out now in the 4th. So I just want to say, I'm just proud of Johnny, man, coming from Orange County, man, playing football, just playing quarterback, transferring to a couple different schools, fighting through UNLV, Nebraska, everything you've been through, broken ankles, so many injuries, man. For you to even be in this spot, I think it's insane. I followed your whole career, so it's crazy. To me, how has that been for you? You literally have switched positions.
Yeah.
You've played at different schools. You had to deal with so much, man. You're still here, man. You're still fighting. A lot of guys don't have that. This dude really wants to play football, dog.
Yeah.
I know a lot of
At
guys,
least,
man.
yeah.
Interview a lot of guys. They're like, F it, I'm done. Like, I didn't work out. This dude really was like, he's grinding out here still, like every day, and he's still giving back he's always doing something, giving back, man. Like, it's just how I'm not just brown nosing Johnny because he came on the show. I'm just this is actual factual stuff like he's doing, and he grinded. I just want to know from you, like, how is it? Like Josh played, I know, like he always makes fun of himself. He played at Valpo.
Not the same thing.
No, I'm saying I didn't play at all though. Like I didn't play at all. I played like 2 years at like Vista Marietta, but like Johnny's really out here. I just want to know like how that grind for you. Like how do you do it? Like how do you consistently mentally do it every day?
Yeah. There you fall into a routine like anywhere, you have to, but you do kind of have to remind yourself that this isn't just a job. This is something where, millions of people throughout the world, let alone America, are, would easily replace you if they could, So I have to remind myself that a lot of times, but it isn't lost on me the knowledge that I am flirting and playing my dream right now. I still know that there's a long way to go right for me. But knowing what I have accomplished so far, like you said, I got to play in my first NFL game. That's something that nobody can ever take away from me. Knowing that there are, I can count on two hands the amount of times I thought my football career was over. And I think I have to credit the people around me more than anything else. Who kept pushing me to keep trying, to keep on moving forward into the next step that, I wouldn't have been able to get, leave Nebraska to bet on myself to go to another school to actually play, to continue trying to learn another position in the first place, or, joining, after leaving UNLV thinking that I played, 7 games at quarterback, and overall I think I played 9 or 10 games at the college level. That the idea that I'd be able to make it to the NFL level there, you would have, if you told me that, like, hey, you're only going to play 10 games, but you're still going to try for the NFL. I'm like, are you sure? Because that doesn't sound like a winning combination. But I to a certain extent, I do have to be proud of myself of what I did push through and what I decided to continue to work hard towards, because I know myself, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to be working hard towards it. And to stick with what I'm doing now, all I can say is that I'm excited to see where I'm able to take myself, and hopefully it's for, several more years. But even still, like I said, nobody can take away that one game. I am, but that's not nearly what I haven't accomplished quite yet what I want to accomplish.
It's so motivational to hear you talk about that and talk about the journey. So many people, they turn on ESPN and they watch the NFL and they think that it's just, you've been a part of the recruiting process, and everything is so polarizing now that everybody kind of has this LeBron James feeling for how it is to be a professional. Like, oh, these kids are they're rich since the age of 16. They go to the pros. Everybody knows them, yada yada yada. But they don't see the constant grind. I mean, but correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a point where you were cut by an XFL team. You had to come back from that, and that's real adversity staring you in the face. I mean, how was that feeling? And then the Cleveland Browns called, like, what, 2 weeks later?
Yeah.
Right?
When I said that I can count on two hands how many times like I thought my football career was over, I'm probably underestimating it, because it's been a lot, and I've had to push, through a lot of failure, just like anybody who, is trying to become successful in their field. Yeah. The most recent team I was on before the Browns, which I signed with in January of last year, I was with the XFL LA Wildcats. And I was trying to play fullback there. I was doing training camp. I was having to battle through injuries, battle through having the flu. I had to, you're trying to do whatever you can and stay healthy in training camp. And I just wasn't able to do that camp. And a couple days before cut day, and I felt like I was practicing pretty well, trying to make up for my lost time. A couple days before cut day, I get a call from the front office of the Browns, and they say, hey, and I'd spoken to them once, they said, hey, we would love to have you fly into Cleveland and do a physical for us, and we plan on signing you, which is not usually how those calls go. Usually they're like, try out, we'll have you, we'll see what we think, and we want to see where you're at right now. And they called me and says, hey, we want to sign you as a fullback, and I said, hey, I really appreciate it. I'm under contract right now, and there's nothing I can do about that. I think it was Josh Johnson, the quarterback who played for the Wildcats that year. He had been reached out to several weeks before that by the NFL, and the XFL didn't let him leave. And if they weren't going to let Josh Johnson, who was a former starter in the NFL, leave, they weren't going to let me. So I knew they're like, okay, well, I asked them keep an eye on me. But 2 days later, I get called down during that day, and they say, hey, Johnny, we really appreciate it. You worked hard during training camp, but we're going to go a different direction. I said, okay. And I called my agent and said, hey, let's see if the Browns want a failed XFL player still. So, he worked his magic. My agent did. And they were able to get me on a flight to Cleveland a week or two later.
Shout out to Johnny's agent. I don't know who it is, man. You can drop his name if you want, but he's doing a good job. He or she is doing a good job, man.
What a blessing.
I never knew that story. That's crazy, man. That's insane.
That's wild. That's such. It's just crazy sometimes.
Player of imposter syndrome, but I try to fight through that too.
That's awesome, man. That story blows me away.
Was that their moment? I was going to ask you, Johnny, was that basically, let me go back. I was going to ask, what was your moment where you're just like, dude, I got to major in something else. Let me go figure it out. I don't know where you're staying right now. I don't know if you're back in Orange County or not, but let me go back home. Now I can just figure it out with my girl, my family and everything. Was that the moment, or was it another moment where you got hurt or something, or is just because I've talked to players that are just there's moments of just I almost gave up, but I'm still here.
Yeah, there were plenty of moments like that. In 2019, I was only on a football team for 2 weeks, and that was in the middle of the year. That wasn't the last 2 weeks of the year where I got signed. So 2019 is I'm coming off my ankle injury. I'm still signed with the Vikings at that time. I've been recovering for about 5-6 months at that point. They call me in for a physical, they clear me, and then they cut me a couple weeks later. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I made some impression around the league with, the guys, the coaches and scouts and stuff that left the Vikings. And I didn't really get any kind of phone calls since then. I was fighting all of 2019 to get in front of coaches, in front of anybody I could. I went back to UNLV to do pro day again. I went to I forget the name of the company, but it was a independent combine company. Basically, they'll take your money and they'll try to get some scouts in front of you. And I flew all the way to Baltimore to do that. So you had to buy the flight, I had to buy the invite into the group or into the combine, and I obviously did well enough there to impress somebody at the XFL, who had me then the XFL combine. The XFL combine went great, and then several months later, I ended up getting drafted a little bit later than I would have hoped, but got drafted. As a fullback in the XFL, that's the reason why I went so late in the XFL. And that was the point where I was like, okay, there's a chance I might still be able to play football. But that whole year, that happened in September, late September or something. And the whole previous 8 months of that was, I don't know if I'm going to play football again, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to I basically told myself I'm going to give myself a year, and if I don't make a football team by this year, then I might have to look somewhere else. And then in October, it was December, November, excuse me. I get I hadn't signed anything with the XFL yet, and the Vikings called me and says, hey, we want to bring you back for practice squad, or at least try out for it. And I called the XFL and says, hey, I want to try this again with the Vikings. And they said, yeah, we're supporting you in that. We don't have any contracts binding you with us, so we hope the best for you. So I go there, I get cut 2 weeks later, and then again, okay, I'm going to go I'm going to go with the XFL now. I'm going to join them in like their winter camp, like a month before training camp. And then the Niners call me up and they say, hey, we want to try you out as our backup or like practice squad fullback. I say, okay, let me call back the XFL because I'm kind of leaving them back and forth right now. And that's when after the Niners workout didn't go, when they didn't sign me, it went well, but they didn't sign me. I was like, okay, I have to commit now. And the XFL is like, they're gonna want me. They're not gonna bring me in for a tryout. Like they're planning on signing me. So that's when I kind of committed to them, at least for a month or so until I got cut during training camp.
Well, that was the same XFL team that fired their defensive coordinator after week 1. So I don't know if they really knew what they were doing at the time. Good old Pepper Johnson. Yeah, man, that's crazy, man. It's awesome to hear someone talk about the grind, and I know that we talked about. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I apologize if I was rambling. I feel like I was talking too long at one point.
No, I love it. We love it,
you know. Yeah.
We love hearing about that grind. We talk about Blake Jackson, who was another Cleveland Brown who played football all year long, played for the Spring League twice and the CFL, and then finally got a shot with the Cleveland Browns. And it's like people need to see that. They need to see how hard some of you guys work because it's not, it's a grind. You have to want it. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. Can I talk to you a little bit? Oh, I'm sorry, Donovan, go on.
No, you're good. I was just, it's funny because like I listen to like the grind. It's just like the journey. Like I don't want to take away from like the other guys grinding. Like Bake grinds too. Like Baker's grinding out there, but it's just different. Like the story behind. Yeah. I'm just using Baker because he's your teammate, but like Bake grinded his ass off because he wouldn't. Obviously everybody knows the Texas Tech story and everything, like Travis, but like it's just a story that's just so different. Like we had DeAndre Snowstrom last week. He was kind of telling us like his grind and his story, when he was with the 49ers and everything. And what did he go? The Titans after Josh, or
he was
couple teams?
Yeah, he was at the Niners for the majority of his career.
Yeah, and a couple practice squads here and there. And
Jaguars,
Jags, Titans. Like his story was like he told me his moment. That's why I asked you. His moment was just like we got released by like 2 teams in the same division. He was like, it's not my time. Like I'll still work out and everything. Went back to Georgia Tech like for a pro day like you, and just like he kind of just didn't have it. He wanted to play baseball though. I don't know. Let me ask him something real fast, Joshua. I know Josh has got to get to a lot, but I just want to know personally, just because I've watched you play quarterback before. A lot of people haven't because they didn't follow high school football. They're not from California like I am, but like. I watched you play quarterback. You don't have that itch every now and then to kind of want to throw in there, you don't go in that quarterback room with Baker and all those guys, man. You know what I mean? Now, who is it? So what's the back?
Case.
Case. Yeah.
I obviously just having the ball in my hands, and being able to be the guy who runs the offense. But man, I remember my first week with Minnesota and seeing Kirk Cousins just sling the ball around the field. I remember thinking, there's a reason why nobody wanted me at quarterback. Because I realized that it took a lot to, I didn't have the necessary skill set to continue at quarterback. I loved it, and I'm happy for the success that I had at it. But yeah, I was able to scratch my itch a little bit when this last season I had there was a week. I think we were playing the Steelers. First time we were playing the Steelers, and Baker got hurt. Not hurt. I think he got bruised his ribs or something the week before. Case Keenum takes the 1 reps, and usually Garrett Gilbert, who is the scout, who is our third-string quarterback, would have taken the scout team reps. Garrett just got picked up by the Cowboys.
Yeah,
that weekend. So we had some defensive quality control guys, some position coaches throwing the ball around for the scout team, and all up to them. They didn't have the arm that was necessary to give any kind of threat to the defense. So I told them, and I was like, it was kind of funny, like going through film for like scout team and stuff. I went up to Zach, one of our defensive quality control guys who was running the scout team. And I said, hey, if you need a quarterback for scout team, I know you guys are short, I can pick you up. And he kind of gives me like a chuckle or something and doesn't really mention him. Okay, well, they must have figured something out. And what I found out later, they thought I was joking because I ended up telling him like, hey, let me get a rep. Like I'm taking the next rep at quarterback.
That's
he says, okay. And I made a couple completions that first day. The next day, I actually had a touchdown pass or two. At least it went 30, 40 yards. But yeah, that's kind of where I last got to scratch my itch. Was I got to show off to the coaches a little bit that I have an arm and it still works.
That's pretty cool. Sorry, Josh. I know I stole your thunder, but I'm actually glad I asked that now, just because I might have forgot. And that's a funny story, dude.
That's amazing. I
just always wonder what guys switch position. I mean, you were a 4-star quarterback, dog. It's not like you were just some quarterback. You know what I mean? You were. I mean, I know it was high school a while ago, but still, you were a dual threat quarterback, but you could sling that rock, man. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have put you. That's fun. That's a funny story, though, man. So if Baker and Case get hurt, basically what you're saying is they don't need to sign anybody. They got Johnny Stanton.
Well, every Saturday they got we have our walkthrough and stuff, and we go through every single play we have, and what happens. Coach Stefanski is running this through our plays, this personnel, that personnel, this formation, that formation, and then we'll go through some plays. He says, "All right, Baker's hurt. Case's shoelaces, third string quarterbacks up in the box. Juice, you're Jarvis and Odell are always the ones who get to have that rep, that quarterback rep at quarterback."
Of course, yeah. I was gonna say that next. Is Jarvis can sling it a little bit.
They run through some quick passes. They go through some handoffs, and so the 1 week I was active, I'm like, is he gonna say? Is he gonna say? No, never mind. Okay.
I'm surprised you can still. I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised you can still sling it because I was looking at photos before and after, bro. You must. You're a good solid 240, bro. You know what I mean. For those that aren't watching, Johnny's neck is like Donovan's and I's combined. So you were a thick dude. Were you always that big? Even
it's a lot better looking than us though. That smile.
But were you built like that in Nebraska and UNLV? It feels like you put on some weight. It's a solid good weight.
I was always working hard in the weight room in high school and would have my own. I would have my own milestones and stuff that I would hit. I got excited the first time I hit I think 275 or 3 or something on the bench. And, all these numbers you got to reach for. But I remember, Nebraska strength and conditioning program is renowned for a reason. They did a great job. They bulked me up a little bit, and I kind of took the reins from there after that. As far as my arm still working, honestly, I'm not. I probably don't have the footwork or the accuracy that I used to. I was never pinpoint guy where I'm throwing 500 yards a game, but I did okay. Honestly, the biggest change is that it just takes me longer to warm up because my arm gets really tired. And that week, the week that I played scouting quarterback, my arm was so tired.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny. That's crazy though, man.
You had a little Tebow in you, Johnny. I think I read a LA Times.
Oh yeah,
I remember you had a little Tebow in you, the running quarterback, big guy running people over.
Yeah,
we're talking about Florida Tebow, not now Tebow.
I was always a bigger guy, and I was able to outsize some linebackers that I came across, and I was a downhill runner. I wasn't running around anybody, that's for sure.
Right. You were KJ, was better high school quarterback. You gonna give it to KJ?
We were very different quarterbacks.
Very true. Very true.
I think KJ broke a lot more records than I did.
Such a polite answer. Because most people want to.
KJ was throwing 50 times a game.
I don't think we mentioned it. Yeah, he's a quarterback for. Where's he at now?
I don't know where he's at.
San Diego practice squad.
Is that right?
Well, a rookie camp, not practice squad. Sorry.
Well, it wouldn't be San Diego. It'd be Los Angeles. Donovan stuck in the 90s, bro.
I'm from San Diego. I'll never. Every now and then.
San Diego for time. I know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, let me ask a couple Browns questions, and we'll get some listener questions. So now that the COVID, I don't want to say we beat COVID, but it feels like we've reached the finish line to the COVID stuff. What are your thoughts as expectations for the Browns? You were at OTAs? Are you feeling it? Is there a different level to it? Are you excited about the season? What can we expect, man?
Yeah, I am excited. I think that we signed a lot of guys who are really, really talented on defense. That was obvious from our OTAs and from our minicamp. And the guys coming back seem like they're as good as ever. I'm excited to be able to build that chemistry with the team, and I'm sure everybody is during training camp. And it'll be a grind, but we're all grinding together, and we're gonna be really good, getting used to each other, and I think it's gonna be really fun this season.
That's awesome, man. All right, have you talked to any rookies? Spent time with any rookies? Got a little one-on-one time? Is there a rookie that we should be watching out for? Like he gets it immediately, or have you not had a chance yet?
Yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily speak for the defense side of the because every time you went up against the defense, we were going through walk through and jog through and stuff.
Right.
So I can't, I don't know how hard those guys were going over there and how well they were doing. But as far as offensive side, we have a lot of great weapons and some strong linemen. But the one guy that I think surprised a lot of guys was Demetric Felton. He spent only a handful of days at running back with us. He was pretty much the whole time at receiver, and he had some great routes and some great hands. And
wow.
It's going to be exciting. We'll see him do some things this year.
Wow. Yeah, I believe that. He was a very exciting player at UCLA. So in your totality so far as a football player, you've seen some athletes, Nebraska, UNLV. Now you're with the Browns, the Vikings. Who we asked DeAndre Smeltzer this last week. Who's the biggest freak that you've seen? He answered Alden Smith. I mean,
I had to line. I'll preface this with one thing. I did not have to do many fullback plays on scout team this last year. We only so many teams have fullbacks, and for the most part, it's only a small percentage of the plays that they prepare for during the week for the other team during scout team. So the most of the time I was spending was at tight end on scout team, and when you have to line up against Myles Garrett, play after play after play after play. And he's giving you maybe he's saving his energy for the game, and he's giving you maybe 75% of what he's done, and still kicking your butt. I know I'm not necessarily the most skilled tight end because I have a lot of work to do, but man, that guy does not have to put much effort in to be just the absolute animal that everybody knows he is. So it's tough not to play Myles Garrett.
Wow, that's the second time I've heard that. When I interviewed Kyle Allen, he said that's the freakiest athlete. He's played with everyone at this. I mean, Christian, everybody, but he's dude, still Myles Garrett, A&M.
I believe it.
Sure. Yeah,
I believe it. He's just. I mean, he looks like a massive human being. You know what I mean? DeAndre also said George Kittle last week, and I was like, "What? George Kittle?"
Yeah,
he's tall, but he's not. He's not built like Garrett or Alden Smith.
I will say that the first guy that I recognized as a ridiculous athlete was in college at Nebraska my freshman year. Amir Abdullah has one of the, and he was my teammate at Minnesota for 2 weeks too. Amir has one of the best senses of balance that I've ever seen. You can hit that guy super hard, and he lands on his 3 yards away and is running full speed down the field. He's always been an impressive guy to me. Great guy too. Yeah,
I write for Buckeyes Wire as well, and Amir Abdullah, that's somebody we saw quite in Nebraska. Woo, that guy could run, man. He was fast, he was quick. It's a shame things didn't break right for him in the NFL, but that's how sometimes that's how it goes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Was it
Donovan? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say real quick. Was there a guy in high school that you played against? And that it's a big time conference, so. I don't. Yeah. Were you guys playing modern day and? Yeah. You guys are playing in the.
I don't think he ended up spending too much time in the NFL, but one of the guys that I grew up almost having a friendly rivalry with. We played each other in middle school. We played each other in high school several times. Thomas Duarte, if you remember that name.
Yeah, UCLA, man.
Yeah, UCLA. He's a great athlete. And he was always the guy that you had to prepare extra for sure.
He's in the league still.
Is he really? Okay.
Right? Isn't it Donovan? Is that right? I'm trying to Google it as we're talking.
I kind of before I knew more before COVID, but it's so many guys went to these different leagues or just didn't play or whatever. I mean, so it's hard to keep up with. Last time I checked, he was though.
He's not.
Okay.
I apologize.
He's not.
Yeah, he was with the Falcons in 2019, so I apologize.
Yep, I remember that. Yep. Falcons.
So were you? You might not know this. I was trying to figure it out. I believe you were Andrew Berry's first signing, correct?
Yeah, I was.
That's kind of a big deal. I feel, maybe not so much. Does it feel like a big deal? Because I feel like it's a big deal in the media. That's the catalyst. That's the guy. You know what I mean? You were the first chip that fell into place. Does it feel like that for you, or maybe it's
gonna
just,
be a great Browns trivia fun fact.
Well, it's a big, Andrew Berry's a smart guy. You know what I mean? Like he was the sign of the new era. And
he signed Johnny Stanton. Of course he's.
You were the first piece of the puzzle that fell into place. Does that you ever reflect on that, or is that not something that really crosses your mind?
Yeah, it was interesting. So, during that 2019 year, and I wasn't really with a lot of teams. I was having these workouts. I was decided, I made that decision, like, okay, I'm gonna commit to going XFL and doing the winter camp with them. I got a couple days after that, or maybe a day after that or so, I get a call. Not a lot of people know this. I got a call from the Browns saying, like, hey, we want to bring you in for a workout and so you can try out for the team. Now, this is 2019, this is like close to like week 14 or so. I am not at this point, I knew that my best opportunity to be on a team for next year is to be working out, is to be practicing, and to be doing whatever I can to, better myself. And at this point, the Browns had already been knocked out of the playoffs. And not only that, let alone the fact that the Browns didn't have a fullback on their roster at that point. So I'm thinking like, I gotta like, I already committed, so I have to do it. But like, I'm thinking like, strategy wise, like, I wonder like why are they calling me up? And I would love to be able to be a part of that franchise, but it was kind of interesting to me. So then when, fast forward a month and a half, 2 months, when they just say like, hey, we want to sign you. Like, once I was available, I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. It was apparent to me, like they had plans moving forward, to try to have somebody in place to be able to fill that role. So it was kind of cool putting the puzzle pieces together after that.
That is cool. That's a very cool story. It's a very, like Donovan said, like trivia level situation. I think that's really interesting. I didn't know if you viewed it, and we view it that way in the media, but I didn't know if you viewed it the same way. That's very cool. Donovan, did you have any Browns related questions before we move on to some of the listener questions and get going?
No, go ahead and go to listener questions. That's cool, man. I've already thrown a bunch of stuff in.
I had someone specifically ask, hey, that dude was in Vegas for a while. How much money did he win, or did you have any big wins or any big losses on the Strip that would stick out in your mind?
So let's remember, I was a college student in Vegas.
That's true. That's true.
I didn't have a lot of money to mess around with. I would definitely came out in the red. That's for sure. Not that far in the red because I never played with that much money. Right. But if we did have a night out where I was with some guys who I knew would want to like play some games and stuff, like play blackjack, play craps, I didn't really mess around with too much else. I would bring like max $60 out, and I'd play at the $5 table so I could play as long as I could, because otherwise, if you're playing at the normal like $25 tables, let alone at night, you're playing, if you're at the Bellagio or something, you're not able to find anything less than $50, table. So, I wasn't playing on the Strip. I was playing down at, the Four Queens on Fremont Street.
Okay. All right.
Fremont's my spot, man.
The Golden Nugget, all those spots.
Yeah.
Have you been as long as you can?
Have you been back? Have you been to Circa yet?
Oh yeah. No, I haven't been to a lot of new places. But
yeah, Circa's like pretty brand new. Like
I walked by it, but I haven't been inside.
So let me ask you another Vegas question. Now that you're an adult and you have more than $60 in your pocket, are you going back to Fremont Street? Because Donovan thinks, you are, because Donovan thinks Fremont's cool. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if people like.
No, the Vegas locals and even non-Vegas locals will tell you that like it depends on your scene. I've never been a club guy. I walk into a club and I try to look for the nearest exit because that's just not my scene. But there are some really cool bars on Fremont. There are some wild things you see, and there's some fun things to do. So
I'm a wildlife guy.
He's a people watcher.
When I go to Vegas, I go downtown.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I thought someone texted me. I was like, that's a good question. You did, because it's right. It's people. UNLV is right there. It's not like when like Northwestern's like in Chicago. It's not really in Chicago. You know what I mean? Like UNLV is right. It's a short taxi ride. Ride share over to the fun stuff. But so
I will say that if you want another little piece of trivia, there are 2 UNLV players, graduates in the NFL right now, and both of them are on the Browns. Robert Jackson.
Oh yeah. True.
There's gotta be. That's it. Just 2 though.
Tor McIntyre was a corner who was with the Dolphins for a while, and I don't think he's still in the league right now. But he was my teammate over there too.
Damn. They had wasn't there a badass Devarius Daniels? Was that? I feel like they had a nasty wide receiver that was in the league for a second, but that's interesting.
About to have some more of those in though. They're doing a good job up there. Yeah.
Well, once Tate Martell transfers there, right? Wasn't that is that what you're saying?
No, I was talking about their coach from Oregon. Arroyo. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I wasn't talking about him, but yeah, I mean, hopefully Tate too, but. Yeah. We'll see.
Obviously, if you haven't followed Johnny on his social media, he's a Dungeons and Dragons guy, right? Is that safe to say? What, dude? I don't even know what that is. I know it's a board game from the '80s, and I feel like there was like someone in my neighborhood when we were kids that like they were doing like I feel like a kid like died playing it or something like it. Dude, I swear to God, there was like an old. Like,
You're
there was
pointing
like
into a lot of satanic panic stereotypes from the '80s right now.
Yeah. Okay, see, I knew there was a thing out there.
So what? It's born in the '80s, Josh. Here's freaking 30s.
No, dude, I know, but the game is from the '80s, right?
Oh yeah.
It was made in like the '70s, but it was very popular in the '80s.
Yeah, I mean, it was still it's still popular. It was popular when we were kids too. I knew a bunch of kids that played it. I just never played. It's like a tabletop game. It's like Monopoly, only a million times more intricate, right?
It is a lot more intricate, and it's not. A lot of people think it's a board game. It's what's called a tabletop role playing game because we're nerdy and we have to give a really nerdy name to it.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a fantasy improv class. Is the best way you can describe it. It's like you're improvising the same character for 4 hours, and then you get to do the same character for next week, and you're just trying to go through this whole, Lord of the Rings, kind of Game of Thrones style story, and you're just trying to be a team and win as a team. There's not like a single winner in the game, which is a common misconception too.
Now, most of my knowledge is from like you've seen Community, the show Community, where they play it?
Love Community.
Yeah. Okay. So that's like where like a good chunk of my Dungeons and Dragons knowledge comes from TV shows.
It is funny. So I think it was the first episode that they played. I forget the second episode now, but the first episode that they played it. I love Community. I was a huge fan of Community when it was on air. 6 seasons in a movie. When Pierce joins the group because he's feels like he's being left out, and he's trying to be spiteful to everybody because he's trying to win the game. That's a common horror story of people playing D&D because they're trying to play against other players and trying to win. The winning is just having fun with your friends, honestly, and just telling stories. It's a cooperative storytelling improvisational thing.
Have you gotten any of the Browns guys? Is my boy Porter playing? Did you get Porter guys to play?
I have asked Porter to play. I will say I never got an okay from the guys that we did play. Because we had a group of a few guys this last year. We had to cancel because of the COVID restrictions. But we did get a group of guys playing during the season, and they never gave me the okay to say that they played. So I'm not going to out who played with me.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll just say that there was a few of us who did play together.
See, I think that it's so.
I just couldn't see Porter playing that. That's I've talked to Porter. It's I couldn't see him doing it, but it'd be funny if he was. He's the biggest deal on the team, bro. Him and Miles. Who's bigger, Miles or Porter?
Oh, Miles. That's just because.
I don't know. Porter's huge. Okay.
Taller.
Okay.
Miles always works out really hard too, but Porter is a freak in the weight room.
Okay.
Porter's Porter. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Porter's he's WWE big, but Myles Garrett is even if Myles Garrett never touched a weight in his life, you would still look at him at the mall and be like, oh my god, right? I mean, that's kind of, there's just guys like that.
That's the weight for sure.
Yeah. So the Dungeons and Dragons, there's a dude at the shelter. I volunteered at a shelter, and he has a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, and he's really into it. It seems like you have to be really creative. There's not like, I mean, right? You're like writing down
it's an outlet for my creativity. Yeah, it's an outlet for my creativity, and I run a game with my family right now. It's my girlfriend and her 2 brothers and their girlfriends. And
you should live stream that. People would watch that.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. Like, nobody wants to watch like people's home games unless you're like, in improv, professional or a comedian or something like that. Like, there are people who are professionals who will do it. And obviously, actually, the market's like kind of saturated right now. There's some really great shows happening, but there are a lot of people who think they have great shows too.
Really?
Like shade on people. But yeah, I don't, I'm by no means a professional, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So I wouldn't want to do anything to ruin that. But if like other guys on the team felt like they would want to do it, then I can see us trying to get like a cool setup to do that.
I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna do research. That way, the next time we talk, I'm gonna know it all, dude. You're not gonna roll your eyes. It's not gonna be like talking to a noob. I'm gonna know it, dude. And we're gonna have a discussion.
What you can do is try to narrow it down by the guys that come on the show. It's like, hey, do you play Dungeons and Dragons with Johnny? That's off the list, and you're like,
do you do anything? Do you do anything else? Like, is there another hobby? Like, I know that there's a bunch of guys that like collect their own football cards and stuff like that. Or is Dungeons and Dragons like that? That's your hobby. That's your go-to when you got free time.
I mean, I put a lot of, especially my creative energy into that. But I don't want to like burn myself out on it, so I try to do some other things. I'm definitely like into video games and stuff. I'm not quite as much like a online multiplayer kind of guy. I just about to finish the new Ratchet and Clank game on PS5.
Nice.
I have fun with that. I'm a little bit of a sneakerhead. It's
really,
yeah. Me and a couple other guys on the team will talk about it, and I haven't gotten anything in a while, but I do a pretty good collection of that.
I'm interested in this now that you're a sneakerhead, because I watched the episode. Yeah, I think you probably know where I'm going with this. I don't know the dude's name, but it's Baker was on there, Jarvis and Odell. The sneakerhead show, man, the one that's like.
I actually haven't watched that. I've heard,
you know what I'm talking about though? I can't think of his name. I saw Baker on there, and he had some cool ones, man. He had kind of Jarvis' collection was insane, but.
Yeah. Well, like what kind of like? So, are you gonna go out and buy what kind of shoes you looking for? Like old school Jordans? Are you like I saw like the Reebok pumps are coming out the Jurassic Park version, and I'm like, that's the shoe.
I saw those. Those are hard.
I'm into like stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, that's Jurassic Park themed shoes. I'm all about that. Is that what you're into, or?
So I have the most common shoe in my collection is definitely Jordan 1. Not necessarily anything that's that old. Because that's when you start, the hobby is very expensive now.
Oh yeah.
Like if you even look at it 5 years ago or 3 years ago, it's not nearly the kind of money that's being put into like that people are buying or selling shoes on StockX and Goat and stuff. Everything that I've gotten, I've made sure I just like saved up for it or got it at retail or close to retail or sold a couple pairs of shoes to be able to get that. My grail is the Jordan 1 Chicago colorway, and it's and by no means like an actual retro like version of it. Like I think I got the 2015 version, which is the most recent one that came out. But I did get like a good price on it. I sold a couple pairs to be able to get it. I can't say that I was quite as responsible with every pair of shoes that I got, but yeah, it was funny. For my first game for the Philadelphia game, I made sure that I was going to be like, all right, I have my outfit. I got the jacket. I got my Death Save D&D jacket. Shout out to Ganello. I got my Rolling Stone shirt. I got my jeans. And I got my Travis Scott Jordan ones that I got for retail off sneakers.
That's sick, dude. I like that.
Yeah, so I got those things for $175 retail. When right now they're going for like $1,800.
Damn, is that right?
Yeah.
That hobby got expensive, man. I love how you prefaced the story with like, hey, I was saving up, I was responsible. Like, just putting that out there for the kids. Don't blow your money.
Absolutely.
So it's funny, the video game thing, we kind of glossed over it, and I was ready to gloss over, because usually when we ask that question, everybody goes Fortnite, Call of Duty, and I'm like, okay, we've heard that before. But you said Ratchet. You said Ratchet and Clank. What other? So are you into like story like driven games, or like what kind of video games you typically play?
It's probably right there with the whole reason why I like D&D, because I like being able to tell a story or like hear a story and that kind of thing. I was going through Hitman. I'm enjoying it, but it's not.
Yes.
It's not quite like the storytelling stuff that I love, but it's fun to be able to figure out different ways to go through this. Every level. One of the more recent games. Oh, I finished Resident Evil Village. That was fun.
So, did you like it better than the old Resident Evils? Because I felt like
it's the first one that I've actually played, and I've watched through some of them.
Really?
But I've heard enough to know that like I don't know if I'd be into the older ones, because I've heard that they've made like a big jump after 7. I watched through 7 on like YouTube and stuff, but before 7, I heard that it's just like a very different game, and I think that this is the more style game that I like, because I like there's another like little horror, not nearly as like horror filled and like jump scary, but there's a game called Little Nightmares that I just
that game's that game was. I can't play it.
I've heard it's really good. I haven't played that one.
It's great. It's creepy. The second one just came out this spring, and I after the second one came out, I played the first and second, and it's really fun. I'm a big fan.
So my nephews are 10 and like 7. I'm terrible with ages, but like they were playing it and they're explaining to me the storyline. I'm like, dude, I got to take that game away from you. Like this is like really, it's like really intense. It's like the art is like, it's really aesthetically pleasing game, but the storyline is really kind of dark.
You like read into things. There's some scary concepts in that game. Dark.
Have you ever played the Mafia trilogy?
No, I haven't. I've heard good things.
The gameplay is a tad repetitive on the third one, but the storyline, bro, I'm telling you, you will not regret it. You should, and you're like, you get like all 3 for like $40, dude. I swear to God, if you go out and buy it, you'll message me like, dude, that's a good ass story, bro. For real. All right, did you have any other questions? I feel like we've held them long enough. I feel bad.
Man. No, we're good. I appreciate Johnny coming on as always. Like I said, dude, just keep grinding. I've always kept up with you, man. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. And I almost told him to fight on, dude. That's not good. But keep going on. I'm not talking to Porter for real this time.
If you got me in middle school, then I would have said that.
Yeah, I know, right?
If you want a chance of winning this thing, whole team signed it.
Man, I'm gonna hop. Dude, we're gonna tag you in this link, but more importantly, send me that link or a DM or whatever. But like, I'll find it on your bio and I'll share it. I'll donate because that's awesome cause, especially with everything with Carl yesterday. You know what I mean? Coming out, I saw that, so that's like a big step too. You know what I mean?
Really amazing stuff from that guy. He's I love the support that he's gotten around the league.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, sure.
And
I'm happy for him. Good dude.
It's. I don't. Your preference. I don't care. But he is such an interesting individual, right? It's kind of refreshing. He is the perfect poster child for what that stands for, because he is such an interesting dude. He's a thoughtful individual, and he was on Hard Knocks, and everybody got to see. He's a great football player. It's just he's kind of the total package to kind of like break open that wall, if that makes sense. So
he's it was awesome what he's done, and the people before him, Michael Sam, Russ, Ryan Russell, and those guys who, all 3 of them are huge for the NFL community and keeping getting things progress forward, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and end this. Like we told Johnny at the beginning of the show, we were going to hold him for 30 minutes, and we're pushing an hour, so now I feel bad. But this was the Brown Square Podcast. One more time, Johnny, tell them where they can follow you, tell them where they can get your links, tell them where they can donate, tell them all the good. Who you're with Athlete Ally. Tell them all that good stuff. Just one more time for us.
Yeah, you can find me at Johnny Stanton IV on Twitter and Instagram. You can find those fundraiser links in my bio. Again, if you're gonna enter, please make sure that it's to my fundraiser, because there's an overall fundraiser. But if you donate to that, you won't be eligible for the football or the gloves or the hat. And if you donate, make sure that you send the receipt to me on Instagram. My DMs are open, and I'll make sure to see it.
That's awesome, man. We appreciate you coming on. It was great talking to you. I hope that we have you on again. You know, we'll talk some serious Dungeons and Dragons because I will be prepared, brother.
Perfect.
Donovan, where can they follow you? What do you got going on? Are you healthy? Are you fully recovered from your hospital about 2 weeks ago? It was actually last week, right?
Dude, it was literally Wednesday, this day. So I'm in the ER last Wednesday. Now I'm interviewing Johnny Stanton on Browns Wire for USA Today with Josh Keatley. So
what a recovery.
I hope you're doing better, man.
Yeah, man, I'm recovering. I'm doing fine. I appreciate y'all. Yeah. But just follow me on Twitter at Don James Sports. The name remains the same. We're doing a lot, man. Been at UTC, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, obviously in Chattanooga, Tennessee, helping out with some of the camps they had last week. Hopefully see if I'm on staff next episode. I'm not sure. We'll find out here shortly. I'll be back at some camps tomorrow actually for them. So I'm pretty excited and stoked for that. But I'm doing that. Doing this show with Josh, and I appreciate every week. I'm blessed to be on this show. I'm glad he keeps having me back. It's been almost a year, dude.
I know. I'm about to kick your ass off, bro.
I know, right? And then I'm actually with Student Sports doing we're doing like some basketball stuff. So I'll just stay tuned for it. But yeah, I'm about to go watch the Hawks games. Go Hawks! Hawks in 7. Sorry, Giannis, but gotta go with those. Ride with them Hawks, man. Trae Young. So I'm about to go watch that. But I'm appreciating it. I'm a huge hoops guy, Johnny. So if you ever want to talk some basketball, man, I'm sure you can hoop. You look like you can play basketball.
He ain't getting the talk. Because he ain't getting the NBA talk from me. I've watched 0 NBA games this year.
This has been the best playoffs ever, dude. Seriously. And I'm a LeBron guy. And
I've watched more Spring League, bro. I've watched more Spring League.
It's been the best playoffs, dude. You got to watch some hoops, dog. The Cavs are horrible, so don't keep your eye on them right now. But some other good teams. But anyway, thank y'all. I appreciate it, man.
So this was the Browns Wire podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshKeatley16. You can see my work at Browns Wire. Also at Buckeyes Wire now. Hopefully we get that podcast started up soon. Maybe we'll have Johnny coming on and talk some shit about the Nebraska Cornhuskers on that podcast. We'll have to see if he likes us enough to do that. But this was the Browns Wire podcast. Make sure you give us a like, listen, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we are out.